Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your host, Jay, and you're watching From Inside Out. Thank you guys so much for joining and watching this video here today on my channel called From Inside Out. Today we're going to do something a little different. I got something quite juicy for all of you that are hopefully interested in this video. Today we're going to be talking about an individual who is blowing up on all social media platforms right now, and you ain't going to believe, some of you anyways, are not going to believe who this is. Again, some of you may know who he is, some don't. But for the ones that don't, you got a treat coming here today. Let's go ahead and talk about this guy right here on your screen. There he is, JD DeLay. Who is this guy? Why is he blowing up on social media, YouTube, TikTok, and everywhere else that you guys have probably come across this guy? As you guys can see, he has 125K subscribers and over, well, actually right now, 1K videos. So he's been definitely busy. But anyways, who is this guy? Why am I doing a showcase show on this guy? Well, we're going to dig in deep about this guy and why he's blowing up and why so many people out there like him. So without further ado, let's go ahead and showcase this guy right here on my channel. All right, so I'm going to try to figure out where the... Okay, that's weird. Where did that go? All right. Change of plans. I'm still gonna put this guy up here. So anyways, I'm gonna have him tell you who he is in his own words. Here's the video.
Join large-scale battles with military vehicles. The online action
Apologize
game
for the
War
commercials.
Thunder has received a major update.
So any of you that follow me on this or any of my other platforms, you guys already know what time it is. I am a retired career criminal who has turned into a recovery coach, peer support specialist, and smart recovery facilitator. I've got 58 felony convictions on my record. I am also on house arrest, and I have previously done prison time. I currently reside in the great state of Florida because I am a fugitive from justice from the West Coast. I have charges pending in the state of Oregon, and they did not want to come off of a 10-year deal that was absolutely the fucking max time that they could federally fucking give me. So I booked, man. I jumped on a plane. The morning I was supposed to be going into court, I was getting off a fucking plane in Orlando, and I've been here ever since in Daytona Beach. But how did I go from being a career criminal with 58 felony convictions, 20 years strung out on crystal meth, to being a recovery coach who owns his own fucking business, who has a beautiful wife, who has a life that I fucking love today? And even though I am on house arrest, I love the fucking life that I have today. Let me tell you one thing, house arrest is not that bad if you absolutely disdain most of humanity, man. Like, if you have social anxiety, like I got social anxiety, it's cool to be home, I promise. So look, part of my plan when I landed in Florida on the run was that this was where I was gonna get clean. I was finally gonna get my motherfucking shit together. I was gonna stop doing crime, I was gonna stop smoking dope, and this was gonna be the turn of my new motherfucking leaf, right? But let me tell you, Florida's not the best place to do that. Also, the thing I didn't take account for is I was still taking me. Man, I was the problem. The drugs were never my motherfucking problem. Drugs were just a really shitty fucking solution, man. A solution that, yes, they numbed the pain, they took all the fucking trauma and the hurt and torment that I had been dealing with my entire life in my mind away. They made the voices go quiet. But in the end, the consequences were catastrophic, and it was way worse than anything I would have dealt with if I had just faced my fucking issues in the first place, manned up, been a G about it. Unfortunately, most of my trauma came from my early childhood, and I was not equipped to deal with that until I became an adult and I learned the coping mechanisms, I learned the communication skills, and I found a safe place for me to be able to do that personally. So when I got to Florida, what happened instead of me getting clean was I set up shop, right? Like, I found my connections, I met some fucking customers, and I went right back to selling motherfucking dope. Unfortunately, what I learned really quickly is that that ethic that we have on the West Coast, that old school OG type of fucking fucking shit, that omerta, that you do not talk to police, you do not snitch on your homies, that shit doesn't exist out here. 99.9% of these motherfuckers are bumping their fucking gums to law enforcement the second they get as much as a possession charge. So it really wasn't very long before I figured out, man, if I kept making moves the way that I was making moves, I was gonna end up getting hemmed up. And Florida is doling out real motherfucking time for distribution, trafficking, armed trafficking. They don't fucking play over here. So I went from selling ounces on a regular basis to doing just enough to be able to get by, to pay my motherfucking bills, keep myself high, and I was fucking failing financially, and I don't like to fail financially. Like, I'm not the addict who doesn't fucking excel financially. My addictions fucking pay me. My addictions keep the mouths around me motherfucking fed. I usually have a team, we work together, and we do solid motherfucking business, and shit snowballs really quickly. I don't take multiple fronts. If I'm on my dick, man, I take one motherfucking front, and I come back doubled up, ready to buy my shit, and then I buy double that shit, and then I buy double that shit, and it just builds, bro. Like, solid business is the only thing that's ever made sense to me. I don't rip motherfuckers off for that quick fucking lick, bro. I do solid, consistent business when I'm doing criminal activity. And I also make sure that anyone involved is getting fucking paid outright, man, because that's usually your fucking weakest link. That motherfucker that you fucking cut out of the fucking lick, that's the motherfucker that's gonna take your whole fucking house of cards down every single fucking time. My idea was to be able to do something more independently. And what made sense to me at the time was I started studying and I started learning and I started figuring out how to do fraud. I started out by printing up a bunch of checks, man, and these checks were pretty rudimentary. I wasn't even using the magnetic ink, but I was getting the numbers right because my information was correct. So some of them would pop off, some of them wouldn't. It was hit or miss until I upped the levels and I got that magnetic ink, and it was more and more were going off well. Even with that, with checks, man, you gotta have ducks, bro, because I'm not cashing them in my motherfucking name. I'm not using my motherfucking ID. I'm not going down. So I would have to have ducks, bro. And ducks are always another added liability. After I burn up the check game, man, I was thinking, look, this is a burnt lick. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't overstay your welcome with fraud ever, because as soon as they catch on to your MO and they see a pattern, they're gonna start trying to lead that shit right back to you. But what I had to do was I had to switch it up, man, and I moved on to credit cards. I would go on the dark web and buy credit card information with Bitcoin. And my personal MO, the thing that I liked the most, dude, was I fucking hate pharmaceutical companies with a burning passion, because I've seen what the fuck they have done to people on the streets, what they have done to my friends and family. I saw what that fucking oxy bullshit did. I saw the way they looped people around and then cut off the supply and it opened the heroin market. I hate these fucking evil limp dick motherfuckers with a fucking burning passion. So what I did was I went after their pharmaceutical rep card numbers. They're Visa Infinite, so there's no limits, bro. You can spend as much as you motherfucking want. They send these motherfuckers all across the country, so there's no location locks. It's not at all uncommon for them to constantly be running hotel rooms. They buy extravagant gifts for doctors to try to get them to overprescribe people their medications. So it really is an open fucking door with those things, and there was zero guilt. I never felt bad. I wasn't ripping off some private citizen. I was ripping off motherfucking Pfizer or Johnson & Johnson, and I actually felt good. I felt accomplished with that shit. But if I wanted to eliminate the ducks, or at least keep my ducks a little bit safer so that it wasn't that likely that they were gonna fall back and fucking tell on me, I needed one other key component. I had the embosser so that I could emboss my cards. I had the magnetic card reader writer. I needed an ID printer, and those motherfuckers are kind of hard to find, but I got one, man. I was able to pick up an ID printer and figure out how to print out IDs. So if I was swiping something, it wasn't me swiping something. It wasn't JD, bro. It was like Lance Sterling or some other fucking awful fucking white boy name. Every time I would have my duck swipe cards, I would get them an ID that they would use until it was completely fucking burn up, so that the cops weren't coming after them and then getting them all pressured up and fucking telling on JD. We were all living out of nice ass fucking hotels. I mean, we were doing Marriott's, Hilton's, like the whole fucking thing, man. Places that had room service. We were fucking bombing out fucking room service like every time we would eat, which wasn't that much because we were all on crystal meth. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we were living good. It felt good. It felt right. I had 2 or 3 people that I actually trusted, which is a rarity for me, and everything seemed like it was going in a positive fucking motion. But every single time, man, it seemed like towards the end, the cops were on our heels. They wouldn't show up at the hotel when I was there, but they would show up like right after. They ended up like they were getting closer and closer and closer, like the breadcrumbs were leading back towards me. And like, look, I'm not a completely unrecognizable dude, and I carried my little ass dog with me everywhere that I went. So they were looking for a big tattooed dude with a little fucking chihuahua. It was not that long until they were gonna catch up to me, so I figured that I had to change something up. A lot of running fraud is just staying one step ahead of the law at all times, man. Like, cause that second that you linger, you wear out your welcome, you fucking stay too long, that's when you're going to fucking prison. Every single time. It's because you get comfortable, and when we get comfortable, we get complacent in crime, in recovery, in anything in life. Comfortability is not a place that we grow, learn, or thrive. It was about this time that a friend of mine that I had known for a while who went to prison for counterfeiting got out, man. And me and him saw each other, and it was like, boom, it was fucking on and fucking cracking. And I'm not a huge fan of counterfeiting because it brings in federal heat, and the feds got carte blanche with the budget. The feds got the fucking high-tech whoop whoops and all that shit. Like, they gon' get you. Like, if you get on their radar, they are going to fuck your life up. But he was doing pretty decent fucking counterfeiting, and he was managing to stay somewhat low key. He had some really great ideas, but I knew some things too, so we sort of collabed on a few batches, and those batches were the best batches that he had ever had, man. Like, they were undetectable. We were cracking these motherfuckers. But you can only shit in your own backyard for so long before you end up stepping in something you don't want on your motherfucking shoes. And me, myself, I love my shoes. I got a whole fucking rack of them. I got a closet for my bitches. So I just kind of knew it was time, right? Like, I had that feeling. I knew that it was going to head in a bad direction, and I didn't want to overstay that welcome. So I decided that I was going to go out to Arkansas, where my uncle was working on a weed plantation. He said he could get me paid a decent-ass wage to sit out in the motherfucking woods, trim some fucking weed, fucking eat some pizza, listen to fucking Pink Floyd, all the weed that I could smoke, which I don't really smoke weed, but hey, if you're out in the woods, why the fuck not? Basically, it seemed like a great place to hide out until the fucking dust cleared, and I found another place where I could set up shop and start over and be brand motherfucking new. Take this show on the road and fucking tour with it. What's up? The dude that I'd been doing the counterfeiting with, he had a mad decent ass truck that could hold all of our shit. So we made plans to fucking get the fuck out of Dodge. But he told me he wanted to go down to Port St. Lucie and say goodbye to his sister before we left the state of Florida, because his plan was once he left Florida, he was never gonna come back. Plus, it gave us a new zone to fuck up for a minute. Take 4 or 5 days, run a shitload of fucking checks, run the cards, mix a bunch of counterfeit in that bitch, and get the fuck on the road. But unfortunately, I didn't do enough research about Port St. Lucie County, man. Them bitches do not fucking play. When it comes to crimes, they are right up your motherfucking ass. There's a bunch of hillbilly cops, bunch of hillbilly judges, bro, and they do not want some tattooed white boy in there fucking up their social economy. The first fucking mistake that I made was thinking that we would fit in at a fucking Hilton Garden Inn on the LPGA golf course, because we don't at all whatsoever. We do not look like motherfucking golfers. We're high as fuck, and we do not look like we belong. Things went good for a couple days, but we went out to get some Chipotle one day while dude was in the middle of making a batch of counterfeit. He didn't put his fucking do not disturb sign on the door, and while we were gone, a maid went in and found a bunch of half-dried, half-printed $100 bills.
The sheriff calls it the largest counterfeit currency bust in years.
And the sheriff says the bills are so sophisticated you can't use a pen to spot a fake.
Breaking right now, the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office announced a major counterfeit ID and money bust.
The Sheriff's Office has so much evidence they couldn't even fit all of it on this table. These are just some of the items they confiscated from 2 rented hotel rooms, other items that the suspects would purchase and then return to get cash back.
Well, we don't see counterfeit money like this in this amount locally. I mean, this is probably the biggest one I've seen since I've been sheriff.
And the main suspect, Chris Burtney, the sheriff says admitted to making this counterfeit money and passing it throughout the county. They've also tied the suspects to other counterfeit cases throughout the state.
That's a bad fucking look, dog. We were pulling back into this hotel and I saw a cop car sitting there, and I told my homeboy, bro, just keep going, blow past it, do not go in there. And he's like, they're not here for us. I'm like, bro, there is not a single soul under the age of 60, white and rich in this bitch. They are clearly fucking here for us. But he rolled into the parking lot anyway, and when we got around to the front of the building, there was a goddamn FBI forensics van at the front door. I told him just drive out the other side. He's like, nah, man, this is cool. We can talk our way out of this. They probably aren't here for us. Who the fuck do you think they're here for, homeboy? There's an FBI forensics van. Fuck. I hadn't left the room with anything illegal. So as soon as I stepped out of the fucking truck and I saw them coming out the bushes in army fatigues and full SWAT gear with automatic weapons trained on our fucking faces, I threw my hands in the air and I said, yo, please don't shoot my dog. Just don't shoot my fucking service dog. My dog's chill as fuck. She's gonna bark. She's not gonna bite you. Do not shoot my dog. She was legitimately one of the only things that I cared about on the face of the motherfucking planet at that point in time. I spent 45 minutes face down on the fucking pavement in the summer sun in fucking Florida while these motherfuckers searched that fucking truck. But there wasn't a bunch of illegal shit in there. So anything that they had was in these fucking rooms. And all that they had was constructive possession because there was no video camera that saw us checking in. There was no video cameras watching us go in and out. They literally had fucking nothing but constructive possession. They booked us into Rock Road, which is their county jail, and I had like a $15,000 bond at the time, and I was like, yo, that's straight. I'm gonna get a decent night's sleep, I'm gonna make some calls in the morning, and I'll be out this bitch, right? But the first thing I woke up to was them telling me to get ready because I had fucking court. I went into court, and the judge was like, so you're from out of state, and you're a fugitive from justice. Well, I'm gonna make sure you don't do that here. And he raised my bond to $58,000 fucking dollars, bro. With the way these boys don't play, I'm honestly lucky that I got a bond at all whatsoever. I'm also lucky that they didn't find enough bills for the feds to want to pick it up because the United States of America versus JD is a lot fucking sketchier than the state of Florida versus JD. I was able to bond out with the help of my best friend who was actually coming to visit me, and I got her to sign a fucking bond. And she was like, bro, you really want me to put everything that I own on the line? Like, this is a fucking huge fucking bond. I'm like, I promise you, I will not fucking run. And I was a fucking flight risk, like a clear and present fucking flight risk. But this woman fucking believed in me, and she still signed for me, and I'm still amazed to this day that I have people like this in my life. I'm fucking grateful. But I'd known her for a few years, and she knew the type of character that I had. Not the shit that I did, but who I was as a human being. So she gave me that chance. So she was like, okay, I'm gonna sign your bond. Any other huge favors you need from me? I was like, yeah, actually, I need to move into your house because I don't know a single other place that I can go where I'm not gonna go right back into doing drugs and I have to fucking get clean or I'm gonna fuck this up. This has to be the time that I make shit work for my motherfucking life. And she said, you know, you're lucky you're fucking cute because otherwise I'd leave your ass right here right now for asking that dumbass shit. But I ended up moving back into her house. Within 3 days, I had a job bartending, staying sober while bartending. I was in outpatient treatment. I had already gone to my first outpatient treatment meeting. I was taking this seriously. Like, I was hitting this right in the motherfucking face. I knew that I had to change. I knew that I had to be able to show the judge that I had changed my fucking life. Otherwise, there was only one place that I was gonna end up. And I still, like, I'm a jailhouse lawyer, so I had myself completely convinced that I could get out of this shit because after all, it was constructive possession. Constructive possession is very hard to fucking prove. They found me in a fucking parking lot with nothing illegal on me, and they're trying to pin a hotel room that had a locked door, what was in there, on me. That's a hard fucking sell for a fucking jury. But like in my gut, like deep inside, not in my motherfucking smart ass brain that always thinks it knows what's going on, in my fucking instincts, I knew that if I was not clean, I was going to prison. And I'd already done that trip. I was not trying to do it again here in Florida where they ain't got no motherfucking AC. My life was dialed. Like, I was doing really good for about 30 days until the fucking SWAT team hit my fucking door. It was new charges. I called my bondsman. He worked out a payment plan with me, and I got right back out. It took me about 8 hours to get out of jail that night until 30 days later when the SWAT team hit my motherfucking door again. This time I got the jump on them a little bit. I laid myself down in my fucking closet and I dumped out all my dirty clothes bin all over myself. I am face down under some fucking dirty chonies, dirty socks, my dirty ass work shirts, and they came in and the room that I was living in was like a bright Barbie pink. I called it Little Peep Pink. And so when they came in, they really honestly thought that it was a girl's room. So they didn't sweep it that well. And they didn't see my giant ass. I don't know how that happened, but on God, like hand to whatever, it did. They fucking walked right back out, searched the rest of the house, and didn't find me. So I was able to take my bondsman even more motherfucking money. At this point, I was on $130,000 bond. So if you guys know how the bond system works, that means I had to drop 13 grand to stay out of fucking jail during pre-trial. But I went straight back to work. I went straight back to doing my outpatient treatment. I went straight back to getting in the gym and getting myself fit and ready for whatever the fuck was coming. I was working one night, and the bar that I was working at, like where I was was bartending, it was an axe bar. So it's competitive axe throwing. If you don't know what that is, it's fucking dope. Go do it. It's a lot of fun. I actually have the Volusia County record for competitive axe throwing, 113 bullseyes in a row. I love that shit. But since it was like a Celtic themed type of place, I always wore my motherfucking kilt when I bartend. Tips went way up. It had a nice breeze on the boys because you don't wear underwear under a kilt, motherfucker. I'll tell you that right now. But when the SWAT team came to the front door and one of my coworkers came running up to me, SWAT team's here. They have a picture of you. Go out the back. I'll take them around the front to the other bar. I booked it. I booked it right up the tourist district, right up Seabreeze in a kilt. Have you ever run in a kilt? Have you ever had your fucking balls slapping between your fucking legs in a fucking kilt, running full speed down the goddamn road? It fucking sucks, bro. It's a ball bruising experience, I promise. But I cut straight to the hippie hideout to my homeboy Archer's house. Big love to you, Arch, man. Thank you. I love you. And he switched me out clothes, man. He put me in some different shit so I didn't look like me, let me stay the night. And then the next day, I went and got a hotel because I knew they already knew where to find me. SWAT team already been to my house twice. So I'm sitting in a hotel under my homeboy's fucking name, waiting it out because I knew that I had court coming up, and I knew that if I didn't hit my court dates, I was going to lose that 13 grand. My homegirl was going to lose her fucking credit, and fucking there was going to be a lien against her house. It would be a whole fucking mess. So I knew that I had to do the right thing and turn myself in on whatever the fuck I was facing. And I want to get real honest with you guys, man. I want to be sincere and genuine about this. This is the point at which I was taking this really fucking seriously because I was starting to build a life that I liked. I was starting to be fucking really proud of how far I had come. You know, it had been like 90 days without doing meth, and that was the longest that I had done outside of an institutional setting in fucking 2 decades. So I called a friend of mine that I knew who owns an inpatient treatment facility, and I said, man, Joe, I don't know what the fuck to do, man. Can you come to court with me? And he said, well, when's your court? I said, tomorrow at 8 a.m. This dude showed up the very next fucking day at court at 8 a.m. to talk to the judge on my behalf and fucking tell him that he thinks that I need treatment and that treatment is much better than incarceration. And the judge looked at him and he said, you know what? I absolutely agree. Looking at this dude's criminal history, it looks to me like this dude could absolutely benefit from it. But he's already got this warrant, and that's not what this hearing is about. So he's gonna have to go sit in county until I can see him again. I will schedule him out for 2 weeks. I'm not even gonna try to pretend to be hard on this one, man. The day of that fucking next hearing, 2 weeks later, I was shook inside. I didn't know how it was gonna go. I found out that the bond that they had put on me for this new set of fraud charges that they had hit me with was $105,000 on top of the $130,000 bond that I was already out on. So I didn't know how it was gonna go. But I had that same fucking judge, man, and he said, Mr. DeLay, you've been offered to go to a treatment facility by a friend of mine and a friend of yours. We have a mutual friend. I need to know that you're willing to go and that you're going to take it seriously. And I said, Your Honor, I would love to go to Solutions by the Sea. If you give me the opportunity, I promise I will not let you down. The district attorney about lost her fucking shit. She said, Your Honor, he's a fucking fugitive from another state. He was caught with an ID printer. He is the biggest flight risk I've ever seen in my entire career. The judge looked me dead in the eyes and he said, Mr. DeLay, do you want to see me upset her today? I said, with all my heart, Your Honor. He said, look, can you pay $1,000 today if I lower your bond to $10,000? I said, I can, Your Honor. He said, I'm going to tell you what. I'm going to make you a deal. You go to Solutions by the Sea and you graduate and we will figure your charges out. But if you leave before you graduate, if you don't go, we will hunt you down, and I promise you, you will never have a friend on this or any bench again in the rest of your life. I will make sure that you go to prison. And I said, Your Honor, I'm down. You have my word. What else can I say? It was about a month and a half after that COVID hit, and it shut down in-person court hearings for like 20 months in the state of Florida, especially in Volusia County. No one was going in, no one was going out. We were just doing status hearings on Zoom. So it gave me 20 months to be able to fucking work on myself, to work on my life and prove myself, right? I graduated Solutions by the Sea. I interned. I became a manager. I became a court liaison. I was showing up to other people's Zoom hearings to give status updates to these judges for Solutions by the Sea. I saw my judge on a regular basis to tell him how other clients were doing. During that period of time when we were on quarantine, there was a huge spike in overdose deaths, especially in Volusia County, man. People weren't able to make it to their meetings. They felt isolated. They felt hopeless, and they were dying. They were just dropping like flies left and right. So I was trying to think about what I could do, and I had a friend who had a decent supply of Narcan. She worked for Sam H. DCF, which is substance abuse and mental health. So she was able to provide me with enough Narcan to start throwing these events where we would walk down the fucking street in the fucking hood, the highest drug traffic areas in our county, handing out Narcan and socks and snacks to people that were in the streets fucking suffering. And we saw a significant reduction in the overdoses in those neighborhoods. We also ended up getting a lot of press off of it. I had multiple news stations interview me all the way from Miami to Orlando. They were talking about what we were doing. It was the first thing exactly like it of its kind, and we set precedents and policies that started becoming implemented nationwide. That same friend of mine from DCF got me a full scholarship for my peer support recovery specialist training, and I was able to do that, man. Like, I hadn't been to school or done any type of classes or courses in decades, but I fucking nailed that peer support class. And then I took the recovery coach course, and I got certified in that. Then I took the Smart Recovery Facilitator course, which Smart Recovery is really my motherfucking passion. That's the program that I use. I'm not much of a 12-stepper anymore. For me, my recovery is based on science and psychology of addiction, trauma, recovery, how I work. I need to know these things so that I can fix them. I have to be able to fucking understand it, and I can't just fucking take it off faith. I can't just go, I'm gonna give it to the higher power, fix it, Jesus. It doesn't work for me like that, man. No offense to anybody that it does. I fucking love the 12 steps and it got me through some shit, but when it really comes down to it, like, I need the knowledge. I need to empower myself, because at the end of the day, it's my choices that are gonna make or fucking break me. The day that I finally had to go into court, I had pretty much abandoned the idea of trying to lie my way out of this shit. Like, I've beaten cases that I was guilty of before from lying, and I was high within a week, back on the streets doing no good, dirty ass shit within a week. So I decided that I needed to take accountability. For the first time in my life, I needed to walk the fucking walk. I needed to fucking go in there. I needed to look the judge dead in his eyes, and I needed to take accountability for my crimes, because that was how I was gonna get out of that cycle that I had been living in that fucking had me desperate, alone, spiritually dead, emotionally fucking crippled, and strung out on fucking drugs for decades. So I ended up going in for an open plea, but I did not have to go alone. I went in with about 8 witnesses, character witnesses, that worked at every treatment center in this fucking area, man. I had people from all over come in that were recovery professionals to tell the judge how I had changed my life, what my effect in the community had turned into. On top of that, my attorney wheeled out a TV into the courtroom and showed the judge, Your Honor, I want to show you my client on the news for what his community outreach has done in his local community. Finally, the judge let me speak, and he looked at me and he said, what do you have to say for yourself, Mr. DeLay? This is what I told him. Your Honor, I did this. I'm dead guilty of these crimes. And this was not a wrong place, wrong time situation. This was a lifestyle for me. This is how I supported my habit when I was active in my disease. But you've heard from all of these other people what I have done to try to treat my disease and help others suffering from the same disease in my community. If you give me prison, I respect it. But what I'm asking is that you consider giving me an alternative form of incarceration so that I can continue doing the work that I've been doing in my community and progressing on building a life that I can be proud of. This judge looked me dead in the eyes and told me, if I give you community control, if I put you on house arrest and you come back into my courtroom, if I ever see you again, I will run you wild. I will max you out, and I will make sure you don't see the light of day for a long time. You sure you don't want to just get it over with and go to prison? And I told him, Your Honor, I'm willing to bet on myself. He said, well, I hope you are, because you're going to get this house arrest, and I better not see you back in this courtroom. Well, I have been on house arrest for about 22 months now, and I have not had a single violation. I have not had a single issue in any way, shape, or form. The honest truth of how I've made it on house arrest is what it comes down to me, is that I have received grace. I have received blessings that I did not fucking deserve. I earned that prison time. But the grace and the blessings that I have received come with a responsibility to respect those blessings and to pass them on to the next human being anytime that I have the opportunity to do so. So I stay working in my community. I stay working with other addicts that are still suffering. I keep 100% accountability for the effects that I have on the people and the world around me. And that is how I've become a citizen. That's how I've become a fucking civilian. That's how I've turned my life around. And that's how I've built a life for myself that I can look in the fucking mirror and respect. Recovery has not been easy for me. I got arrested multiple times while in recovery. I've had this looming cloud of maybe going to prison over my head for a large amount of my time in recovery. My mental health issues, once I took the drugs away, had me with suicidal ideation so hard that I didn't think I was gonna make it for most of my early recovery. But I fucking ground through, and I went from having bad fucking months to bad fucking days, and now I have bad fucking minutes. I'm telling you, it does not always get better. People think life is gonna get better. Life doesn't always get better. We get better. We get stronger. We learn healthy coping mechanisms. We learn how to take accountability. We learn how to work through our own issues internally and not take them out on other people and then have that karma coming back on us constantly. Life might not be perfect today. I am definitely not perfect today, but I have gotten stronger and I have learned how to deal with things with integrity and respect. There were a lot of people who knew me who bet against me being able to fucking make it through 2 years of house arrest. There were a lot of people who knew me who thought I was a lost fucking cause and that I would never get clean and sober, that I would never live a responsible fucking adult life. And I am out here fucking doing it. And I'm telling you this, if I can do it with how bad off I was, I promise you, anyone can turn their fucking life around. If there's one hope that I have from this content creation that I'm pursuing right now, it's that I'm able to help people not to have to go through the type of shit that I went through for decades to figure it the fuck out. Or maybe I can even prevent somebody from starting down that same road so they never have to understand what that shit feels like. A lot of my content is for entertainment, but what the real meat and potatoes of it, the shit that really means something to me, the shit that has meaning and purpose and really fucking moves me, it's stuff that might help others. So thank you for being here. I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you for supporting what I do by watching and listening and interacting. And I hope that we can all learn and grow together. One love.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You saw in its entirety, uncut, unedited, except for what he did on his own video there. That was not me. The gentleman that you just saw there. JD DeLay. A person that I have a buttload of fucking respect for. You may or may not have respect for this guy. But now you can see firsthand that no matter what your charges are, no matter what you got going on in your life, ladies and gentlemen, you can change. I'm walking, talking proof of it right here, right now, too. But I want you guys to understand something. He was talking from experience. His life as a whole. Detail after detail after detail. There's nothing wrong with that, but that gives you a wake-up call to realize that if this guy can do what he's doing and enjoy his second chance at life or how many chances he's gotten, then in a sense, that's a blessing. However you want to chalk it up. We're all in that same boat in some sense. He talks about prison-related issues. He said right in his video, it's merely entertainment purposes only. But some of it, hopefully, is educational. Same thing with me. I don't do this podcast for my health or for fun or for this or for that. I do this because I believe education is key, ladies and gentlemen, on all aspects of this. You know, again, JD DeLay. I will go show you his channel once again. Here it is. Here's his channel. You know, look what he's doing. I don't know what your belief is, but here's my belief. God has given this guy multiple blessings, not just God himself, even though he probably technically doesn't believe in that kind of stuff, but the courts, the system, the judge, the prosecutors, the attorneys, the cops, the federal agents, a laundry list of people try to get him hemmed up. And by whatever luck he believes in, he made it. He beat the system, even though he is completely 100% guilty in doing what he's doing. So make no mistake about it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't got a problem with this guy. He might later down the road have a problem with me. But again, I don't care. But whether I get respect from him or not is irrelevant. Okay? Because again, I'm not here for all that stuff, if you will. What I'm here for is to educate the masses, what's going on inside of our prisons, show you how corrupt the system as a whole is, and educate. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. So folks, if you want to go over there and show him some love, let him know Jay from Inside Out sent you. Because, you know, the more people we have on board, this is how I look at things, guys. The more people we have on board, the more education can get out there. His experience, my experience, he's a former convict. I'm a former locked up individual. I don't classify myself as a convict. And speaking of which, I'm kind of glad I brought that term or that word up. In some of his videos, he's come out and said that he acts and talks like a convict. You know, if you can find the video, there's a lot of videos to go through. But again, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, that's one of the things I actually technically have a little bit of a small problem with. Okay? Convict. What is a convict? It's mental. Convict mentality. When I got released out of my prison in Washington State, fancy that, he did time in Oregon, I did time in Washington. Okay? Not too far from each other. So, when I left the prison gates, I left the convict mentality behind me. And it can be done. I have a locked up loved one currently right now who is the owner and founder of this podcast From Inside Out. My good colleague, best friend, and my sister, Jay Lee, who has served 30 years so far. Does she have that convict mentality? I've asked her. So the bottom line is, folks, is this. We got to get past the hype. We got to get past the convict mentality bullshit. We got to get past that and know that you're a human being and you're living the outside life now, outside world, not prison world. When you get released, you got to put that prison shit behind you and use your experience that you went through in there to advocate and help others deal with what we all had to deal with. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this guy gives out some pretty goddamn good, you know, in some detail anyway, of what goes on inside prison. It's all strictly entertainment. I mean, look at some of his videos on this thing, right? This guy right here, acting as an inmate, a CEO, and a chomo, which a lot of people have a problem with. You know? He's doing big things on his channel, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I don't see myself going to that extreme. This guy's doing it. I'm not trying to copy what he's doing. But again, ladies and gentlemen, understand that some of the stuff that he's spilling out on his channel is somewhat correct. Not all prisons are the same. You know, I've talked about some of the stuff he's talked about in different detail on my podcast. And it's funny how I can't get my channel to take off, but this guy's channel can. Well, I tell you why. Here's why his channel takes off better than mine. Okay. First off, don't get it all twisted. You gotta have the right connections, and evidently, maybe I just don't have the right connections. Okay, cool, whatever. I'll find some if I have to. It's not that hard. But you know, if you have the right connections, the right people, the right this, right that, that helps too. You know, but make no mistake about it. It takes a lot of work to get your channel like that. And if you go over to his about section right here, you guys can see he's got 53, I think it's 53 million. Holy crap. Way more than me anyways, nonetheless. And he joined January 6, 2015. So he's been here longer than I have. And I joined YouTube in 2018. So go figure. But nonetheless, you know, like I said, he's got obviously a lot of help, a lot of connections, a lot of friends, a lot of this, a lot of that. Plus a buttload of other social media platforms that I do not have. Okay? You know, I belong to Twitter. My Twitter link is now in my channel, guys. You can go check it out. Go to my About section. You can see all my links that I belong to. My store link's on there too. Please help support this channel, guys. And, you know, help me get out there. We're all in this. We're all in this the same. We're in the same boat in a sense. We got to do what we got to do to expand and get our message out there. Because his voice is very powerful, and so the fuck is mine. So I think that this is where we're at with it. You know, let's work together. Let's network together. Let's help. Let's do this. Let's do that. And let's put our heads together and figure out something. Let's get rid of all the hate, the bullshit. It is what it is. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You guys can see his channel. If you want to go over there and hit that sub, there it is right there on your screen. And if you do, let him know that Jay from Inside Out sent you. This is where we're at. There's a lot of goddamn prison podcast shows out there right now in social media land, especially on YouTube and other places. It's starting to become a very competitive thing now. So, but I will say this, no matter where I go with this, I will say this. I will continue to advocate for all locked up loved ones. Notice the word emphasis, all. Okay? And if anybody has a problem with that, you can hit me up right now at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Or put it in the chat. But nonetheless, opinions are opinions, facts are facts. I'll leave it at that. So, I want to clarify real quick before I bounce out here that this guy right here on your screen, I don't got a problem with this guy. I have no disrespect for this guy. Will he have the same with me? Who knows? Who fucking knows? But again, this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. We just need to network, work together as a team, and expose what's really going on inside of our prisons and jails and our system as a whole. I'm fed up here with it. I'm tired of the corruption. I'm tired of the bullshit. You guys want change in our system? Stand with me and let's make change together. We needed change yesterday. It's long overdue. Like I've said numerous times in my other videos. We can do better, ladies and gentlemen. We can do better. Let's take all this pimped up energy, all this shit, negative, turn it to a positive, and let's work together to do some serious fucking work. Let me know in the chat or in an email if you're down with standing with me to bring change to our system. Let me know. I'm going to go ahead and close this podcast for today. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Again, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, or any of that, put it down in the chat, comment section, or email again at voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. Once again, that's voicesfrominsideout@gmail.com. All one word. Let's hook up. Let's do business. Let's talk. Let's debate. Here's my closing arguments / statement for this podcast tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling depressed, if you feel like you want to quit and give up, understand this. You, me, and everybody was put here for a purpose. And that purpose was to build, not to destroy. So, like I said, if you're feeling down, you need help, you're at your lowest low, contact me. Contact JD DeLay. Contact somebody that gives a damn, because believe it or not, there's a lot of people out there that do, even though they may seem like they don't. Your life's more important than what somebody else thinks about you. If I can make it, if he can make it, you can make it. Don't be too hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. You're depressed? Talk it out. With that said, I'm your host, Jay. I will see you all in the next podcast. Good night, everybody.